Hi, Goldfinger. Eddie, how you doing? How things in Cambridge? By the way, is the sound okay? Having a little, let me see, get this thing. Okay, great. Uh, as you probably know, let me get my glasses things. I have to pull them up for the whole time. As you probably know, we recently one of our guys had some really good watches stolen. And so I thought it'd be a good time to have a sort of an unplanned, but with all these smart people, have a knowledgeable discussion of watch theft. So, okie doke. So Goldfinger and Eddie and Velvia Man and Balena, let's get started. Okay. The first thing I think that we could talk about is what are the common methods to keep your watches from being stolen. Okay, this is one of my most valuable ones. My Breguet Nouveau faux. They stole this. I could collect the insurance money and buy a good watch. Okay, doke. So we don't want to do that. No fraud involved by anyone. So let's take a look at the ways that we could protect ourselves. The first way, or one way to look at it, is insurance. Hi, Chili. How many of you have special insurance, or would anybody recommend insurance for your watch collection, and how much? The reason I say that, someone was telling me it's about your annual insurance on a watch is about $100 per thousand. In other words, you got $100,000 watch. It's going to cost you about $10,000 a year to keep it insured. So that seems to be a lot to me. And then you got to convince there are a lot of things that can happen. Right after the pandemic, a lot of my watches shot way up in what they were selling for. And so it was something I thought, well, better, if I'm going to insure them, I'd have to up it, but then it would cost me a lot. And besides, some of them are really, as far as I'm concerned, are irreplaceable. And so insurance wouldn't do me any good. I'd just go out and, I don't know what, buy another watch or something. What are your views on insurance? Do any of you guys have insurance on your watches? I mean, heavy insurance? Or do you have any that you can insure for? This one I'd insure for, let's see, this would be, this cost me 87 bucks for all of the parts and everything. And I'd count labor because it was somewhat of was made as part of pretentious watchmakers. I like the watch, so I really do, and it keeps wonderful time. Um, hey, Quarters Eye. Best way to stop watch theft: mandate all angle grinder purchases be registered. Angle grinders. Uh, okay. Oh, uh, Clyde, do you have insurance? Do you insure your watches? Hey, Eddie, I have thought about it for my recent purchase, but haven't done any research on price and shops and so forth. Um, USAA. Oh, that's good insurance. Okay. We've got homeowners insurance. It's sort of a general insurance. But I can't say that we have any special ones for the watches. It's just whatever we can, if they stole something. Balina, I think the best protection against theft is a long sleeve. Well, now that would probably be against a mugging. You might be right about that. But against theft, somebody busted in like they had, like that one guy had on his watches. Hi, Owen. How you doing? Mask, how are you? I only have the jewelry coverage for my owners and policies. I think we probably have something like that. I'm not even sure what that is. That's robbery, not theft. I know the difference between robbery and theft, rancher. The 10% of the value a year sounds way too much. Yeah, it sounded like a lot to me. Yeah, okay. Robbery is when they take something from you. Theft is when they're behind your back, even if they break in. Now, home invasion would be a robbery. Yeah. Don't keep all your watches together in a lovely exhibition box. Stick them in, say, a cornflakes box in a protective donut case. I don't know. What if the cops rob your place? Go on. The first one is a donut. Nah, just um, had my Yerma Superman stolen at a dinner in New Jersey. I have yet to replace it. Uh, wasn't, but they weren't able to catch the person who took it. Burglary and robbery. Yeah. Burglary, theft, and robbery. Burglary is breaking into a place. So they have a lot of different laws in different states. Like Florida's got what they call B&E, breaking and entering. I don't know what the breaking and entering plus theft, I guess, would be burglary. Um, Robbery is taking it from somebody or forcing them to give it to you somehow. I'm reluctant to take watches on vacation. Oh yeah, I take some, but I've got certain ones to take. Luxury brands are starting to use NFC tags for authentication. Hasn't hit the watches yet, but imagine scanning it with your phone and being able to. Wow, that's a great idea, Dan. That would be nice. B&E is breaking and entering without the intent to commit a felony. Not necessarily, rancher. Really not. In different states, they interpret it in different ways. What is it? In California, for example, they have 47, 48, 459. 459 is the burglary. Florida, on the other hand, at least when I was there doing research, they had simply the B&E. Now in Oklahoma, they, they, they have is the B&E breaking in and there's nothing worth stealing? Is that it? Okay. All right, just giving you a hard time. Why would somebody break and enter unless they wanted to take something? I don't know. They just needing a shelter. It's so easy to disable scan. Okay, so they can be melee. They can be broken too. I Let me suggest another thing you can do, and I do it when, especially if I leave for any length of time. I simply take them down to my safety deposit at the bank and put them in a bank, the bank safety deposit, and so it's that way I can sleep easy. You don't have to worry about anything. Have any of you ever used your bank? Because a lot of guys I know do this, and I do it to some extent. Is that they have some really valuable watches? They just keep them in the vault in the bank, and by keeping them in the bank vault, they can sort of rotate in and out the ones that they're using right now, and if they're not using, especially the valuable ones, they just leave them in there. Leave a beret by your front door. The burglars will feel pity for you. That picture of the burglar that I got for the for the banner for this was exactly that. He didn't look like what a modern burglar would look like. I think modern burglars wear hoodies, so you can't see who they are. They know where the cameras are and all of this other stuff. But man, I tell you, I don't know. I don't know about Oklahoma, but here in Connecticut, at least where we live, I wouldn't commit a burglary. I'd have to. First of all, they got bears. They got a gun club up the road, and they got people. At least in our neighborhood, they got people. We sort of know each other, and I don't know. It's just that we have a very low burglary rate. But I think it would probably be a pretty dangerous place to come in. Oh boy, the bears have broken in. That we had in our town. They had this bear that just sort of busted in the door and come walking in. Man, I don't know. UK banks just remove all deposit boxes. Oh wow, what did they do that for? Is there afraid people putting explosives in it? Post a photo of Jack Nicholson and The Shining on the front door. Well, I tell you, to me the best prevention of burglary is having a big dog, and even a little dog will help. So you got a dog, it's going to make a lot of racket. Guys committing burglaries. I spent a number of months, almost a half a year, with a burglary detail, and most of the burglaries that were done were during the daytime when somebody was at work. And so, I mean, the stereotype is sort of you have by the moonlight they come sneaking in and get your stuff, but most of it's when you're gone. Burglar doesn't want to bust in when people are there. I think the rancher's idea is that if you're going to be leaving for any length of time, don't advertise the fact, and I agree with that. Um, you're going to be away for a long time. Just don't tell anybody. But rancher, if you go away, I'll tell everyone for you. How's that? Every once in a while, some punks break into the wrong house. Have you seen the ending of? Yeah. Oh, gee, on all of these YouTube videos, they got more YouTube videos where somebody's breaking into a house and Ma Barker comes in and starts blasting away. My God, I tell you, with all of the guns there are in this country, I would not. There are some people I know who would probably be. There's this one guy I know, and he does have watches, quite a few, as a matter of fact, and quite good ones. He's an expert shot. He's like, I think he was sort of doing a tryouts for the Olympics. He's a pistol shooter, and one day he was over. We were working on something that he needed doing, and so I was working with him, and he was telling me about that. I said, I'd like to see it. He's got this pistol that was like made for his hand, a special grip on it and everything. Boy, I tell you, that guy could shoot your ear off and not damage any watches. But I don't know. I just, what I would do and what someone else would do is different. This is why I think burglars really like to be sure that nobody's home. Hey, John, how you doing? Equus, how are you? I put an Iron Maiden mat at the door. The neighbors get scared. My mother had a box in our UK bank, no longer available. Man, I wonder why they did that. Maybe it's for money laundering. They put their goodies in there. My bank still has it, and I still have my box. I go and I have a sort of little routine worked out. I have all of these little things. I don't put them in a big box when I take them to the bank. I just put them in something that I can carry them all down in, and then pop it into the safety deposit back. And then when I box, and when I get back, I just go down and get them all and bring them out. The idea, though, of leaving some of them in there, I think, is more and more appealing because if they're not there, they can't steal them. Hey, Caesar, how you doing, man? Hi, Neglected. Acadian? Will you be going to Watches and Wonder in Geneva this year? No, I won't. The next planned show that I'm going to, that I go to every year, will be in, I think it's October, around the 20th October, and that's in New York to the Watch Time show. Those are great shows. As soon as they announce it, I'll tell everybody about it and go to the cocktail party. This year, Rancher's coming. Last year, Archie was there. And either it was, I mean, it's a really good show, and all of the new watches that they're going to have at Watches and Wonders, a lot of those come out. Hey, John, protected by Smith and Wesson sticker on the front door is a good thing. Always. It's funny because Hartford, Connecticut, in this area, Smith and Wessons are made just up the road in Springfield, Massachusetts. Winchester's used to be here in the Hartford area. Colt manufacturers right over in West Hartford. It's really funny for people think, well, here you have this very conservative state, Connecticut. I mean, not conservative, liberal, and we are. I mean, it's very much of a liberal state. But there are a lot of people who, they like their guns. So I wouldn't mess with that. I don't know how much of a deterrent it is because, like I said, if somebody will wait until you're not home and then they'll go in and they'll steal your watches and your guns. I mean that. Guns were a big thing in the burglary. Guys got more guns. The thing about where a burglar or a criminal or a robber would like to get burglarize a gun, then they couldn't trace it back to them. What about H. Moser jaded red gold tourbillon launch today? I didn't see the red one. I saw the green one with the Wyoming jade. I saw that. Hi, Eric. How you doing? I looked into getting a box, but my insurance company refused to cover watches in a state. Why? You'd think that they would want to. That would be the best place, Mass. If I were insuring a watch, I say, okay, if you're ever gone, put them in a safety deposit box. Are people stealing out of safety deposit boxes? I don't know. You in my country of origin, there was a criminal band nowadays dissolved, composed of foreign nationals specialized in the theft of luxury, especially Rolex watches. Whew! I don't have any Rolexes. Victims were chosen at the arrival area in Capitol's airport. Sometimes better not to wear one according to the situation. Yeah, it's probably, I think a good travel watch is something, a nice plain steel one. Rancher, good point. Rancher's point is you can trace it back through serial numbers. That's important, though. I was getting one of my watches ready for I'm having for auction, and they wanted the serial number. So I wrote the serial number down and sent it to the auction, and they probably sell it to burglars or something. I don't know why they don't do that. Oh, hey, I tell you another option is to get your own safe. I got a safe, like, have you ever seen the ones they have in hotels? They got a little thing there and you punch in some numbers, then you put your stuff in there and close it. I got one of those. I thought, well, I'll get a safe. And the thing that talked me out of it almost immediately is when the guy delivered it. I think I got it from Amazon. He delivered it and he brought it on a dolly. And I thought, wait a minute, all they got to do is, steal my dolly and then steal the safe and take it with them. So I thought, well, I don't know. I think I will. Well, I think I'll start using a safe because I've had it and I just haven't used it. I still go down to the bank with my watches. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, you're right. It needs a security system. Yeah, speaking of security systems, what about these ADT, I think, and different companies like that? that they have armed response and so forth. Um, I think, like I said, on vacation, big dog. We used to have this big Swiss. It was called a Greater Swiss Mountain Dog. Great big dogs. They're not afraid of anything. We didn't have any problem with bears. The bears would stay away from that big dog because he would go after the bears. He'd go after anything. He was attacked once by a German Shepherd, and he just stood there and looked at the German Shepherd. And the closer the German Shepherd got to him, the bigger they realized this big dog was, and he wasn't afraid of him. And so I thought, well, maybe I better rethink this, and we'll sniff butts instead of getting into a fight. But a dog, that is one of the best burglary deterrents I know of. Biometric safes are good. Okay, I'm not even sure what that is, Mitri. Come to Abu Dhabi. Zero crime down here. Okay, Caesar. Yeah, that's you might lose an arm or a hand if you get, yeah. The AP insurance looked interesting too. Okay. I had ADT in LA. It didn't work. I'm not surprised, to tell you the truth. I mean, the time somebody breaks in and they can, first of all, getting around any kind of things that they had. Hey, Abdul, how you doing, man? Apricot teacup poodle once ran off a pitfall growing up. An apricot teacup poodle. Oh, fingerprint. Yeah. Zero freedoms too in Abu Dhabi. That would be the downside. I hope they don't see this message or I'll be in trouble. Okay, well, the name you're using, Caesar, is a pseudonym anyway. They'll never know that your real name is Abdul R. Watches. If I disappear, you know what happened. Gotcha. Pit bull. Those are good ones. I had a neighbor who had pit bulls, and she used to swear that those were the nicest dogs around. One of my sons had a pit bull, and they're very sweet dogs. But man, I tell you, if I knew somebody had a pit bull, I wouldn't want to bust into their house. I would just not like, yeah, okay, fine. You have a nice pit bull, but I'm not breaking in. It's always a challenge while talking watches while traveling to cities like Barcelona, Paris, and London. A guy I know who was actually he was one of those guys who is he's a celebrity who they call them representatives. They have another name for the special celebrities who they like to have their watches on. And he told me that he had a really good, I think it was an Audemars Piguet in a hotel safe, and somebody went in and popped it open and took it. And the hotel was like, we don't know. That might be another thing. If you do travel and you have some really good watches, have it kept in the hotel safe, downstairs, not in the room safe. Poodle ran off Pitvale and chased it up the street. Huh. You must mean pit bull, right? Okay. Pit bull, German Shepherd, and Rottweiler. 3 no one wants to mess with. They wouldn't want, believe it or not, my Swiss mountain dog wasn't afraid of any of those dogs. he had a problem with pit bulls because they were like unpredictable, I think. But Rottweilers, I saw some Swissies, Swiss Mountain Dogs, take a Rottweiler who was a visiting there, and a Rottweiler trying to grab everybody. And the Swiss Mountain Dogs they're very gentle dogs, but they basically somehow just took these big jaws and put them on them. They didn't bite them, and just basically cut it out, and that was it. And the Rottweiler, all right. Oh, you gotta. I tell you, that's a great for a watch collector. A Swiss Mountain Dog is. Those are fantastic dogs. I went to several and questionable neighborhoods. Never had an issue. Yeah, I haven't either. Of course, some of the watches, like some of the watches I have. Oh, what? A Parmigiani? I'd never heard of it. That's On the other hand, if I had a Rolex, they're fresh meat. Tell you a place where there was. We were in Naples, Italy, and we went down to Pompeii. Man, I tell you, you could almost see the pickpockets. I mean, they might as well have pickpocket written on their shirts. There were so many of them, and there were the Italian police were there trying to keep them, safe. No, I would wear something. I tell you, a pretty safe watch to wear. It's really an excellent watch, though. Is a Harbring too. They don't look like steal me watches, but they're good watches. What happened, Rancher? Mastiffs are another good. Oh my God, a mastiff. Yeah, there's another dog I wouldn't even. They scare me, and I like dogs. Uh, a mastiff will do two things. First of all, it'll drool all over you before before the end. Hey, William, how you doing? I keep expensive watches in an Invicta box. You think they know what an Invicta is? What if they're what if they're really old? I remember when Invicta was really valuable. No, I think uh, somebody had an idea earlier. Take them and put them in a cornflake box, things like that. Another place that a lot of people think that no one will look was in the freezer. Put it in your freezer and stuff. Man, I tell you, that most burglars would look there, I think, because it's such a common one. A lot of guys I knew kept drugs there. They had their heavy drugs they'd keep in the freezer. I don't know why, but they would. They thought that was a good idea. Hey, Finnegan the Ninja, saw that there was a product that used a key to lock the watch bracelet to your wrist so the thief can't take it. Seems like a good way to to get killed. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we'll just chop your wrist off. I agree. When I finally got a Royal Oak in Sala, I'll be much more cautious. You know, the plain Royal Oak is one of my favorite watches. I really like that watch. Just nothing fancy, not the offshore, but just your plain vanilla. Um, I like that watch. Just something about it I like. A date just will attract more attention than a PF or Harbring 2 or a Larique. The ones that are the really valuable ones, Abdul, but not anybody knows that. Hey, MCM, left an Oaks and Junior Perpetual in a hotel safe and didn't realize it for 15 hours. They sent it back. Not sure if I would have made it home or if it was a Rolex or AP. Huh. That's interesting. Oxen Junior is something I think that they might, because they look like they're made out of wood. They're really neat watches, though. I mean, really, really, really nice watches. When I was burglarized, a police officer told me that the last place they bothered to look was in the bookshelves. Yeah, I got books. Oh, there they are. I got books galore here and elsewhere in the house. put them in there with my books. My books are really mostly those are computer books or books that I had written that were translated into foreign languages. So there's a Korean book on how to create C sharp programming. I don't know. That does sound like a pretty good place to hide stuff. Heard of a guy in Brazil who got his arm cut off to get a Rolex, which he tried to protect. Oh my God, man! I tell you, they could take any one of my watches. I like my arm. My Santos is my best travel watch, not flashy. I'll tell you, that is such a good looking watch, Caesar. I don't know about a Santos being safe, but I like those watches. But if they are safe, I mean, if burglars don't realize it, then that's a good thing. Or thieves or hey, who is the guy? There was a guy in England. He has a blog. He was involved and still may be involved in selling watches, and there were a series of muggings in London. Who was the guy who did that? I forgot his name. Hey, Helena, how you doing? Paul Thorpe, right? That's who it is, Rancher. It's exactly what he did. A bunch of stuff on that. They were the guy who was most recently hit was the guy who God, he had this incredible collection. He had this great big door, a glass door, and they just busted the door and went in and took his watches. And the thing was that was interesting, he had his watches all in their cases. Um, I, I have cases for my watches, but if they're not in the safety deposit box, the watch box doesn't go into the safety deposit box, just the watch. And but this guy had this big plate glass window, and he had these beautiful boxes because the watches he had came in beautiful boxes. They threw the boxes aside and kept the watches. Cops. Yeah. Yeah, Paul Thorpe. Yeah, he's the guy. There needs to be a registry. Oh, I agree. Some watch companies, like when I had my Patek Philippe Calatrava, I didn't have the paperwork, so I wrote to Patek Philippe and had a special program. I don't know if they still have it, but they used to for their archives. And they have all kinds of information with all the details on the kind of stuff that Rancher was talking about in terms of a registry to have that information. That'd be great. I used to decide which watch to take depending on the city. Yeah, not Jim Thorpe, Rancher. I know who Jim Thorpe is. Isn't there a town in Oklahoma called Jim Thorpe? I'm not being facetious either. Okay, now here's another idea. Rolex ruined it when they took the records off of watches. Oh, wow, in 2011. I wonder why they did that. There is a watch influencer whom always goes to events with a jacket full of watches. His jacket and watches were stolen from his house a couple of weeks ago in Cologne, Germany. Jesus, that's terrible. When I go anywhere on travel, I'll have probably, depending on where I'm going, like if I go on a cruise or something, I'll take more watches. I don't know why I think that the safe in a cruise is any safer than one in, you know, anywhere else, but I do. And I just like to have more watches with me on a cruise, and then the rest of them go into the safety deposit box. I don't know. Store your watches without balance spring. No parts available. Yeah, the thing is, that is a good idea, but I tried to put a balance spring back into one of my watches. The two watches that I sent to for Dominic's son to fix up and cut back so I could get him into resonance. I had to take out the balance spring, and one of them I was able to get back in and working right, and the other one I couldn't. So if you take it out, whew. So you're taking the wife again to Washington to watch that. Yeah. Oh, she's got the good watches. Yeah, she's got a really good collection. Yeah, you have to wait until October. A minute of silence for people that uh who get beaten up for a fake Rolex. Oh man. Let me just suggest something, okay? Let's say that you have a really good watch collection, and the watch collection is easy to find fakes of it. I mean, you'd be surprised how many fakes of things that people consider off brand. So when you go away, you take all your fakes and you put them in your watch case, and then you take your regular ones and hide them somewhere. And so when they come and they steal it, they get back and they got a box full of fakes. That's an idea. Well, yeah. I mean, you should be able to buy any watch you want. Yeah, right. Well, I didn't say, Abdul, I didn't say to wear the thing. I said to keep them in your house and put them in sort of have two watch boxes, one with all your fake watches and then one with all your real ones. And if you leave somewhere for any time, just take your fake ones and put them out and then take your real ones and go hide them somewhere where people couldn't find them. Or to buy a fake Larique. Got me there, Velvia. I don't think they're available yet. A fake watch trap. There are ways you could do that. If you could put a chip in a band, like have a watch band and just put a chip in here that would, give the location, and you can get really small chips now, or put them somewhere inside the watch, just a real small one to make it look like a bridge or something like that. That might work. Yeah. Okay. How do you know you haven't bought a fake watch? I mean, not a fake one, a stolen watch. How do you really know? Most of the watches I buy, they don't come with paperwork, and keep in mind that paperwork can be faked. Um, so how do we know for sure if the watch we get is a genuine one but had been stolen? Like, take for example, um, I'm going to be selling some watches. Some of them are through the auction house, and now the auction houses, I think, will do a good job of getting all of the information. On the other hand, eBay and Chrono 24, I never remember them asking for any information other than sort of general information. If you don't know, try to find the caliber movement. Most of the ads for watches don't put the caliber movement. I haven't seen a lot of them put the serial number in either. Some do, but so if I buy a watch, how do I know it's not stolen? And even like I said, a lot of the paperwork is not that hard to fake. You got a laser printer and a little software. You can do it pretty easily. have a watchmaker authorize the origin. Well, that would be a way to do it. I hadn't thought of that. You can ask for the brand you can ask the brand for paperwork. Some will give it to you free. Longines gave me this entire documentation for one of their watches, their equation of time watch, because that's a fairly complex watch. So I asked for documentation. They sent me a PDF file with all of it in it. We got snow today, snow, and more snow. A very complex issue at this moment. Before it was always buy the seller before the watch, but even the biggest auction house gets duped. Yeah, they can. Hi, Mark. Most ask for amount. When I had my first Vessel Content 10, they wanted to know the movement number, I think, and I took it to the Vessel Content 10 boutique in New York, and they have their own watchmaker there. And that guy, it was my Vessel Content 10 1972. And he took the thing apart and finally found it, but it was really difficult to find. So, Rancher. Okay. Yeah, the seller, if you know the seller, very recently I bought a watch and I didn't know the seller. I'd never bought a watch from him before or where his place of residence, his country. And so, I didn't know what to think. And it's turned out to be everything went really well. So it's on the other hand, I've trusted people that had no reason not to and got burned. So I just don't know. I don't know if there's a perfect way to do that. I know that if somebody talks too much about how honest they are, be careful. That would be something. There was this town. Well, I used to live in. I'm from California, way back, and there was this. What was it? It was like a tobacco shop, I think, with pipes and tobacco and stuff like that. And they needed to hire someone, and the advertisement said someone who was reasonably honest. I like that. So it was so reasonably honest. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's tough. It really is. I don't. I have no reason to believe that any of my watches were ever stolen. In part because they're ones that probably people wouldn't bother to steal, but they're really good watches. It's just at the time they weren't the ones to get. Hey, MCM, McM, where do all of these stolen watches go? Some must slip into good dealer inventory. I wouldn't be surprised at all. If you read about the art dealer business, there is so much corruption in art. I mean, it could be you never know who did it. Like you could get a painting or an etching or something like that, and if there's a way that a quote art expert can cover himself on something, But there was a book, in fact, called I think it was called Fake, and it was about art forgery. And the guy who wrote it was a good friend of Elmire de Hori, who was a great art faker. And he was saying, he'd go in and give one of his paintings to someone, and the guy would know because he knew de Hori that it was probably fake, but wouldn't bat an eye. Take it. I'd rather pay more and buy from someone I know. Where do they all go? They all go to Mexico. I'm heading south of the border. Get me a good watch. Uh, I know so much about art business you wouldn't believe. Yeah, I would believe. It's just unbelievable. I mean, that eh, I I love art. I'm a big art lover. And I got a couple things from like in Paris. My wife and I got some stuff there they weren't expensive. I mean, that's all we could afford was not expensive. But they were good prints or etchings, things like that, or even restrikes. You can get a good restrike by the original artist, and it's a restrike, but still. And there's some things like that that are more affordable. Or you can get a signed print and some things, different kinds of things like that. It's the ones though that some of these, man, I tell you, I was at the one visit to the Louvre one day. There was an art student copying this painting. There was some artist who does all of these paintings with uh, the faces made up of different vegetables and things like that. And she was sitting there. She was an art student. I just did permission. Her sitting there copying it. My God, it was perfect. It was just perfect. From what I understand, super, what are they called? Super fakes are really excellent. And they're hard to figure too. Yeah, the Daytonas. Yeah, they're Google the Spanish Master. Okay, I'll check that out. Well, listen, guys, my time's about up. We've been at this for almost an hour, and so anyway, I gotta go. I gotta go see a dentist about a tooth, so I'm off. We'll see you guys. Wouldn't all super have capes? Yes, they would. That's how you can tell them. Take care.